What's up, Mushroom Fam? It's Gary with Fresh from the Farm Fungi. I'm here in Sedalia, and today's video I wanted to talk about a topic that isn't touched on too much on all of these YouTube channels, and that is business compliance for a mushroom farm. So, a quick caveat is that these compliances and regulations are going to vary a lot from region to region. So, I'm going to just do like a more of a generic, broad overview of what you should expect when you start a mushroom farm and what types of regulations that you have to have in place. So, it's December here. You can see I've got this fire going. Yep, trying to stay warm up in the mountains, but um, so in order to be ready for the farmers market in the spring, make sure that you take care of this stuff ahead of time. It's getting to the end of the season, so I'm going through all my management reviews and making sure that all my loose ends are tied up for next season. So a second caveat is that it's coming from a food compliance point of view. So I used to work in safety testing for the CDPHE. So I kind of have a biased opinion, and my thought philosophy is protection for the consumer over everything else. All right, so first we'll get started with a question. So, when was the FDA, or the United States Food and Drug Administration, founded or created? So, is it A, 1800, B, 1906, C, 1950, or D, 1955? So, just a thought to have in mind that since that date forward, there's kind of been regulations in place to protect the consumer from the products being produced by these large food manufacturers. Even though we're like a small little boutique farm, we still like to have the best compliance possible for our consumers. All right, so the first major compliance factor, and it's coming up quickly, is going to be taxes. So Benjamin Franklin said that only two things in life were guaranteed, and that was death and taxes. So make sure that you pay your taxes. It's going to vary from region to region, like I said earlier. So in order to pay your taxes properly, you're going to have your proper sales tax licenses. So for us, we have our state sales tax and our city sales tax license, and we pay quarterly taxes. So there may be exemptions for fresh produce, but a lot of our products are taxed normal. Like all of the Etsy's and all of our YouTube videos are actually taxed. So the income from the ad revenue, all of these things you have to consider when you're starting a mushroom farm. So it's a really good idea to set aside a portion of your earnings just for taxes. You can be pretty liberal with that at first, and it's going to definitely save you down the road. So a good rule of thumb is to set aside about 20% of your earnings so that by the end of the quarter or the end of the year, you'll be able to cover your taxes. All right, so first compliance factor is taxes. The next one is going to be your building permits. So I've been seeing a lot of mushroom startups begin in their basement or their garage, which we started our mushroom farm in our basement, and there's nothing wrong with that. But definitely do your due diligence to make sure that you're permitted to do that legally. When I started my mushroom farm, our city house was zoned for residential, but I did my due diligence. I went downtown, and we actually had a special permit granted to us just so that we would be able to grow mushrooms for the farmers market, and that took a lot of effort. I had to get a drawing of our house and continuously go downtown until I finally was able to get that signed off. But I knew that starting a mushroom farm, the most important thing is to be compliant, because I wouldn't want to get a couple years down the road and then be shut down because I didn't have the proper permitting. So that's going to vary with your local authorities. I would recommend starting out at your city. Chamber of Commerce might be able to help you, but make sure that you have your proper permits. There could be compliance with the fire department to make sure that everything is safe in your setup. So definitely you're going to want your permits. And then the next factor for compliance is going to be business licensing. So once again, this varies region to region, and it also is going to depend on the scale of your operation. So you're going to want to talk to the Department of Agriculture, the local health department, and a really good place that you can start is at your farmer's market. So if there's other people that are selling similar products like microgreens or another mushroom farm in your area, they might be able to give you some guidance on what type of business licensing you need to sell your produce. So there's definitely a wide range. As the scale of your operation goes up, they're going to be stricter about regulations. That just makes sense, that as you provide food to more and more people, you're going to have a higher standard of what you have to abide by. So keep that in mind too, about if you're going to be starting off with a huge, large-scale operation, you're going to want to have the proper business licensing in place. And that also varies if you're going to sell to restaurants or supermarkets or direct to consumer. In Colorado, there's a Cottage Food Act, so you can start by selling really small quantities to your local community. And that's what I did when I was starting out. I just sold some fresh product directly to people on Craigslist, and that was a way to verify that we actually had good quality mushrooms. So business licensing, third part of the whole business compliance for a mushroom farm. And then I would say the last important part is insurance. You definitely want to have liability insurance as a minimum. This is going to protect your business. You might want to look into establishing an LLC or an S Corp. These are all things that you should talk about with an accountant. I'm just trying to give general ideas of business compliance for a mushroom farm. Not many people talk about that, and I do know some people that, they're operating with none of these things in place, and that's up to them. But from my point of view, I believe that if you're compliant, it's going to only protect your business long term. So make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row. And if you're going to be planning on doing farmers markets for next season, start that now so that you're not scrambling around, and then you can focus completely on your production. All right, so going back to the original question, when was the FDA created? Is it A, 1800, B, 1906, C, 1950, or D, 1955? So the correct answer is B, 1906. So pretty much every living American has had to deal with these government bodies that are overseeing the United States Food and Drugs. And I believe that that's an important aspect in business. You want to have the highest standards, so you're providing a really nutritious product. And moving forward, I think that regulations are only going to get stricter. So try to stay ahead of the curve. Maybe do some quality testing. If you haven't checked out our video on the colors of mycology, I'll post a link in the description, and you can kind of get a really basic feel for what it's like to do some compliance testing for your products. But it's good to just know for peace of mind if whatever you're producing is clean and healthy and safe. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that video. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're looking forward to more mycology videos or just mushroom farming videos like these. And stay tuned. I'm I'm going to be diving into that breeding project soon. I've got some streak plates that I'm waiting for the spores to germinate. So stay tuned for that. And until next time, much love.